looking at this, there's actually a major issue that I have happening in this problem. Can anybody tell me what it is?
450 is more than 360.
450 is more than 360. So the whole point of when we're doing this is that we would like to have an angle in here that exists on my unit circle. And 450 is not an angle that I acknowledge as being on my unit circle, but it is coterminal to one that exists on my unit circle. So how do I find its equivalent angle that is between 0 and 360 degrees? Subtract 360. So what's 450 minus 360? 90. So it is coterminal to a 90-degree angle, which means that this is actually 8 cosine of 90 degrees plus sine of 90 degrees, I. If I were to leave it in trigonometric form, this is how I would leave this problem. However, because I had you do it on your homework, I'd also like to do it here. I want to take this trigonometric form and turn it back into a complex number. Does anybody have an idea of how I'm going to do this?
Add 360 to the 90 degrees.
We're just going to use our calculator. So I'm going to figure out what cosine of 90 degrees is, and then I'm going to figure out what sine of 90 degrees is, and I'm going to multiply 8 into both of those values. If you're using your calculator, you're going to want to be in degree mode. What is cosine of 90 degrees? 0. What is sine of 90 degrees? And it has the I attached to it. I need to distribute the 8 back in, and I get 0 plus 8i. This is actually the same answer that you would get if you had FOILed out the complex numbers that we started with. So that's how I know it works. If I have 0 plus 8i, do I have to leave the 0 in there? No. So what would this also be equivalent to? 8i. Just making sure you guys know they are the same. Becca, what was your question, honey?
Remember when I talked to you about like converting it back?
Yeah.
That's not that hard.
No, it's not. That's why I wanted to do this one though, because I did have you do it on your homework.
I tried to do it on the homework and I was like,
Yeah, you literally just plug it into your calculator. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I was overthinking.
I think I did all
That
of
was
them,
way so easy.
because I was like thinking, because I know it's like negative on that one, and I don't remember.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do the division. The good news is we've already done all the hard stuff. We just have to plug it into the formula and simplify. Since we did start this example yesterday, I'm going to rewrite what R1, R2, theta 1, and theta 2 are for the purpose of this example. So R1 yesterday we figured out was 4. R2 was 2. Theta 1 was what, 330 degrees? And theta 2 was 120 degrees. So these were the things that we figured out yesterday. We're going to use them to do Z1 divided by Z2. So complex number 1 divided by complex number 2. Just like we did on the previous example, I'm just going to go ahead and write out what that division formula is, and then we're going to fill in the appropriate values. So that division formula said I do R1 over R2 times cosine of theta 1 minus theta 2 plus sine of theta 1 minus theta 2 I. I have both my R's, I have both my thetas. Let's go ahead and fill those in. So then this is equal to 4 over 2 times cosine of 330 degrees minus 120 degrees plus sine of 330 degrees minus 120 degrees I. Then we go ahead and simplify. 4 divided by 2 is 2. What's 330 minus 120? What is it? 210, good. Same thing for my sine. And there's an I attached to it. So if I were leaving it in trigonometric form, this would be my answer because 210 is an angle on my unit circle between 0 and 360. So I don't have to find its coterminal angle at all. But I do want to take this and turn it back into a complex number just for the practice. So how would I do that?
Put it in your calculator.
Put it in your calculator.
You don't use the unit circle.
You definitely can, and for this one it might be beneficial because you're going to get decimals. So if you get decimals, we should probably use the unit circle instead. So I was hoping you would see that on your own, but since Gabe already brought it up, I will spoil it for you. This is one that you're going to need the unit circle for, but we can do that because I have cosine of 210 degrees on my unit circle, and I have sine of 210 degrees on my unit circle. What is cosine of 210? Negative square root of 3 over 2. Plus, what is sine of 210? Negative 1/2, and then we have the I with it. And then the last thing I need to do is distribute the 2 into both of those and simplify. So when I distribute the 2 in, I get negative 2 square root of 3 over 2 minus 2 over 2i. Both of those reduce because the 2's will cancel on the top and the bottom. And I'm left with negative square root of 3 minus I. Again, that would be the same thing you would have gotten if you had FOILed out the complex numbers that we started with. Actually, this would not be FOILed, just kidding. If you had divided by rationalizing, this is the same thing you would have gotten. And then that's it. That's the end of the notes.
That's all we need to do.
We just had to finish this last example. So now you can do everything on your homework.
Yeah, you-
Also, be sure